All right, next is Florida at 4-3, 1-3 in the SEC versus number 1 Georgia at 7-0, 4-0 in the SEC. That is 3:30 on CBS from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. A little bit of history here. The first game between these teams, they can't even agree on that. It was either in 1904 or 1915, depending on who you ask, with the exception of wartime interruption. In 1943, they have played every season since 1926. Georgia leads either 53-42-2, according to Florida, or 54-44-2, according to Georgia. First meeting in Jacksonville was in 1933, and they've been there ever since, with only a couple of exceptions. Like most things in the 1930s, the railroad was a factor. I read that this week. I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense, because I was like, why Jacksonville? Fans from Athens and Gainesville could both access Jacksonville more easily due to the railroad. So, fun fact there. Jesse, what is your prediction for Florida versus Georgia?
This one's always a fun one. The Georgia-Florida game was actually my first college football game. So that was exciting.
Oh, yeah. Was I there too?
You were, and
us,
it was Tim Tebow's first game back after his concussion against Kentucky, where he broke Herschel Walker's rushing record. That is very hard to say quickly.
Helps to be playing against the mighty Joe Cox and Georgia's offense.
It did. That was a wild. That was actually the game too, where like Brandon Spikes tried to gouge that guy's eye out. Yeah, wild time. First football game or college one, but I do not think that the Gators are going to win. I think it's going to be Georgia. However, despite how these teams play, usually they play each other very, very tough, because it is a very fun rivalry. So I think that Florida's gonna get some moxie and put up some points, but in the end, the Bulldogs are going to win. So I'm going to pick UGA 31-24.
All right, Matt, what do you think?
I have a hard time imagining that Florida is going to really be able to keep up with this. Let's keep in mind that Anthony Richardson has not really done a whole lot this year for Florida's offense to instill a lot of confidence. So far through the season, he has 1,300 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. So as far as keeping in the air, not the best idea. I don't think that they're going to be able to run much on that front four for Georgia. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick UGA in this one, 38-20.
All right. Yeah, Georgia's favored by 22, and I want to believe it, but it really just depends on which Georgia team shows up, to be honest. I say, as we talked about even on the show last week, and Jacob mentioned how Richardson is just on a team where he's just like the only one who's kind of like, the world beater on the team. Nobody else is really going to help him out. I think if we stack the line, bring pressure, force him to make throws under duress, I think that will accomplish what we want to do. And I think if we can do that, things will go well for the Dogs. I got Georgia winning this one 34-13.